What's up, BookTube? Um, I've been talking about this for a while, and so I thought I would give an update on this is kind of an AuthorTube thing because I went from just trying to have fun to like writing something. So this is about my that Zelda game I was working on. So as you know, for the original Legend of Zelda, the map looks like this. Okay. It's 128, I think, squares. And so that's that. And I made 128 pages of maps with like squares to move in and everything like that. The game was really hard, especially to get going. So, I mean, if I changed that to where you had a bunch of stuff to begin with, like the wooden sword and the boomerang, maybe a couple bombs, like it might not actually be that hard. But what I ended up doing was making 8 pages like this that just have 16 squares on each page. And that way, instead of having to use one of these little guys, I think I already went over this, I get to use one of these little guys. And so he's like, I'm Link, and now I'm here, and now I'm here. But you guys can't see that because I was down here. So, so that was one of the big steps into the right direction that I took. I'm going to make a huge mess of my coffee here in a second. The next step I made was that I made like cards, and these are the cards. This is a little deck of cards. I have to make more actually, but I'll tell you about why in a second. That's a shitty card to get. Let me try to find something pretty cool here. That's okay. Oh, here we go. So when you walk into a cave or you burn a bush and there's like a tunnel down below or whatever, or even going to the heart container raft spot or the power bracelet Armo spot, you pull a card and then that's what will be there. So it could be 10 rupees, it could be a potion shop, it could be the third dungeon, you know. It could be all sorts of stuff. So that was a step in the right direction. The mechanics of everything, as far as the dice rolling go, went okay. Because I stopped doing the giant world, the D20 seemed kind of like a lot, so I stopped that for now. And we still have our fight or flight die. So if you want to flee, you can. And then we have our attack die and our damage die. And then we also have our item drop die, which is a cream color, if you could tell. Now, the way I have it set up is if you just have the wooden sword, you roll 1 of the attack die. If you have the white sword or the white sword or magic sword, whatever you want to call it, you get 2, and if you have the master sword, you get 3. And then that way, either the highest roll is what you get to go with or whatnot. Now, if you're just fighting an enemy, there's your die for that. If you have the blue ring, you get 2, and if you have the red ring, you get 3. And then you get to pick the smallest amount from the die roll. I was doing it to where you could just roll 6 die and go against 3 people at once. But that got a little weird. The other thing that got weird, so I mean, back to the attack system, I like that a little bit better. As far as the item drop, you can do the item drop by counting, like you would if you were playing the game. The way I had it set up was if you roll a 1 at the end of the battle, you get a rupee, 2 heart, 3 clock, 4 bomb, 5 rupees, and 6 a fairy. What I was noticing was, obviously, I was getting a lot of fairies and a lot of clocks. Getting bombs and rupees and hearts and stuff, that's fairly normal, but having like clocks and fairies, and even bombs drop at that rate was kind of crazy. So what I think I'm going to do now is do it to where after each battle you roll, and you'll either get a rupee, a heart, or a clock, and the clock would be like a 6, the heart would be like a 1 and a 2, and the rupee would be a 3, a 4, and a 5, or something like that. And then when you leave the area, you can roll, like when you've defeated everybody, you could do an item drop for bombs, 5 rupee pieces, and fairies. I think that's the easiest way to go about it. Unless you want to count, which again, you're most definitely welcome to count. Now, the part of this that got crazy is I decided to kind of make my own story up. And basically, right now, I'm calling it Anarchy in Hyrule. And again, that's Anarchy in Hyrule. And what the story is that when Link and Ganon fight in the 9th dungeon for the princess and the last Triforce and all that other stuff, it doesn't go well, and both Ganon and Link are destroyed, and so is Princess Zelda. So, because of the insane like destruction that happens, all of the dungeons under Lower Hyrule are destroyed because Ganon has them connected, even though we don't know they were connected, and they all kind of like explode. But everything from the Triforce pieces to the dungeon items to the heart containers found within to the enemies that were in those dungeons are now all spread all over Lower Hyrule, whether they were looted, exploded, shot up in the air, whatever. So now you have all of this stuff, and you could still go to where a dungeon was. You just can't get in very far. But what this has made is there's no law really in Hyrule. The queen or the princess is dead. Ganon is dead. The savior of Hyrule is dead. We're missing or whatever. And it's basically just a bunch of like the merchants, the old man, the old women, moblins, griots, gibdos, wizrobes, just like all sorts of random villagers trying to get all of this stuff in a timely manner. Now, as this thought was coming, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, because then like we could see like what part of like Lower Hyrule or whatnot that the wizrobes actually came from, and where the Gibdos and the likes and the Pole's voice. Like there was just like I was just having all these awesome ideas of like where things could be, and then other ideas started coming up because again, the more people you play with, the funner this is going to be because you can attack your fellow players or you could have treaties with them. Another mechanic I was going to try to come up with was that let's say you pick a wizrobe, like you want to be a wizrobe. As you go through the game, the more wizrobes you find, they become a part of your army. And so hopefully by the end of the game, there would be like armies fighting armies. And that sounds really big. I don't know if I'm going to go that route, but that sounded really fun. But like the Dodongos and the Gomas and all of them, like they're going to appear in the overworld because they can't be in their dungeons anymore. So it's just all sorts of fun stuff. I mean technically I could rebuild the dungeons and do all this stuff, but having a completely overflowed overworld sounded really cool. And I'm also going to be using all of the caves and tunnels from both the first quest and the second quest. Because like you could like walk into a thing that used to be a potion shop, and now all of a sudden the raft is in there. Another thing I was thinking, because everything's in flux, I'm wondering if there should be like random things in. So like if you go to one cave and there's a merchant and they're trying to sell like magic shields or something like that, and then like 20 moves later you come back to the same cave, there might be something else in there because he might have got ran out, or someone came and murdered him or whatever. So there's all that fun stuff. And then obviously like if we're dealing with other weapons, like I would make the like wooden boomerang as strong as the wooden sword. The wand is obviously going to be as strong as the master sword. Or maybe do it right and have the wand with the book actually be as strong as the master sword. That might be something. But yeah, so just like little things like that. I'm still putting it together in my head a little bit, but I'm getting very close. So if anyone out there knows about licensing agreements for non-canonical works, this might be really fun. Or I might just put it up on my website. I don't know. So anyway, this is Anarchy in Hyrule, and I hope you enjoy this. And maybe this weekend I'll try to give it a go on Twitch or something like that. Okay, everybody, let me know what you think down below, and if you have any ideas, talk to you soon.